What's up, folks? Justin Phillip here, and today I am going to discuss why I'm saying goodbye to recording on external media with the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. C'est la vie to the SSD. I have been recording with the BIMC 4K using SSDs with a USB-C cable for about 2 months now. I always record 4K DCI. That's the highest resolution you can go at Q0. Q0 actually goes, you can reach a higher megabyte reading versus 3:1. So I usually shoot Q0 at high frame rates, normal frame rates, all frame rates, and never had a problem with this SSD. Now inside of here I have a SanDisk Extreme Pro Mark II. It's like a 550 megabyte read and write speed. It's inside of an Atomos caddy, and then of course I use this SATA or SATA connector to USB-C cable. Now, if you've noticed, you've been watching my videos, you know all about this, right? Now, I know Blackmagic Design may say, well, that's not the SSD we recommend. It could be this cable is, I don't know, not that great. We don't know a lot what's going on. However, I will say this does say that this is a high-speed USB 3.1 cable. It works fine on our editing machine, you know, because I use these SSDs as hot swappable drives because our personal computers are Macs and our editing machine is a PC. So these essentially are like a gigantic SD card, and you can just swap them back and forth between PC and Mac without having to reformat them. So it works great for a swappable drive. And I use these to export files, import files. I edit off of these things because I own, you know, like 3 or 4 of these. This particular one is the lowest size that I have. This is only 512 gigabytes. The other ones I have are 1 terabyte. Never had a problem. Now, for example, I shot my entire short film. It's all skateboarding, 90% done on the Flycam, you know, stabilizer rig. It's an action film. You know, it's a chasing. It's essentially Mad Max on skateboards. Recorded 4K DCI, Q0, had no problem burning to this thing whatsoever. I've been shooting with these SSDs literally every day since I've owned the BIMC 4K. Never had a problem. However, I never did any clips longer than 5 to 8 minutes long, right? I don't know. Maybe that's not true because I've even used it in some of my YouTube videos when recording demos I was doing on the GH5. I recorded on the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. Those videos got pretty long. Never saw a problem with these SSDs ever until yesterday. Of course, on a paid gig, I had an interview to do. Now, luckily, there were 2 different angles on this interview, and I was recording external audio on the interview, so luckily, we could, you know, cut into that second camera, cut into our external audio. So it wasn't that big of a loss. However, I will say, I will never be using SSDs again, and this is why. Here I want to show you in the computer here where you'll see this 15-minute long interview segment. You'll see I'm going to scrub through, and here you'll see these different segments here. Now this happened about 8 minutes in. Also, I want to point out that I always leave the stop recording if frames are dropped. That little option, stop recording if frames are dropped or drop frames. I have that turned on always. And I was watching the tally, the red tally mark, while I was on shoulder rig with the second camera. I was watching that tally mark. Obviously, it never stopped recording because I got the entire 15-minute long segment, right? But when I got home and put it into Resolve, look what happened here. So I'm scrubbing along. There's 2 fairly large chunks. One of them is about 20 seconds, 15 to 20 seconds long here, where you'll see it says media offline. And the second segment is about double that. It's almost a minute long where media is offline, and it just goes back to normal. Now, some people thought, you know, because I did post this to one of the bigger Facebook groups for the BIMC 4K, getting other thoughts on this, and some people thought, well, is it because you're using the beta version of Resolve 16? Well, no, that's why I got the beta version of Resolve 16, because I was using Resolve 15 Studio, and it was doing it in Resolve 15. And even at the newest version of 15, which was 15.3.1 or whatever it is. So it did it in all versions, all 3 versions of Resolve. Someone had thought maybe your USB-C cable was a little loose. Yeah, maybe that probably is an option. I mean, there's all these things that could have been. Is it because this drive is taking a crap? Is it, is it the quality of this cable is lacking over time? Was it a little loose on one, was this a little loose? Was this a little loose into the camera? There's tons of options where my brain just doesn't have the patience to wrap around what they were. The fact of the matter is that it happened, And a few guys said this is why you should never rely on external media for recording. And yeah, I'm understanding that now. Also, I want to show you guys something else. I've noticed this on a few clips of mine. I would say about 30 to 40% of the time, I get this at the end of all my files. Now, it's fine because it's at the end of the files, but here you'll see there's some little glitches happening, and it's like right before I hit the stop record button, right? And you see these little glitches, like it cuts out. I've seen that quite a bit, and I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's something with the SSD or when recording the SSD. It's very, very strange. Now, however, that's a bummer, and that is why I will no longer use SSDs. However, I want to show you guys the solution I found, and I used it on the last day of recording my short film. This bad boy right here. Now, I got these specifically to test these out because I was really interested in these. The Freetail Evoke Pro. These are V60 cards. This one is 128 gigabytes. And here you'll see on the back it has multi-layer, this is what the V60s and V90s have. Extra little row of microchips on the back here. Now, this thing is legit. Now, the V60 basically means it can maintain, it guarantees a consistent 60 megabytes per second, okay? With that, you can do Q5. And that's what I did on the last day of my short film because this came in the mail. I thought, perfect timing. I'll take it with me. I took my SSDs just in case if something went crazy, but it didn't. Recorded all day on this thing. The footage looks great. I, for one, cannot tell the difference between Q5 and Q0. Also, remember, I was recording a skate film with this, so no problem there. If I was going to do high frame rates, you probably wouldn't be able to do Q5 because Q5 maxes out at 58 megabytes per second when shooting at 30 frames. So if you're going to do slow-mo, I would probably do that in 12 to 1. 12 to 1, you'd have no problems with this. So that's what I think I'm going to do until, obviously, I do get my CFast cards in the mail. I will be going strictly with these guys, the V60s, and with the CFast cards. Now, if you're interested in trying these out, because these are also cool for my GH5 owners. These are great for the 400 megabit per second all-I. These are going to be perfect for that. So if you're interested in checking these out, they're only $74 on Amazon. Go to my kit link down below and my camera kit bag. Go in there and there's a link to these guys. And they're legit. I will vouch for them. No problem so far. I used it on my GH5 all day yesterday on the reality show that I shoot for. I used it on my short film, shooting in Q5, BlackMagic RAW, 4K DCI. These are legit. I will vouch for those. So check out the Freetail Evoke Pro cards. Here you'll see, some people thought, well, maybe, does it do it in camera? Is there something weird happening when your SSD is connected to your computer? So okay, that's a good idea. So I plugged it, I took the drive, plugged it back into the BIMC 4K, and here you'll see what's going on. Basically what happens in playback is it just freezes. It just straight up freezes. The ticker's still going. The time code, you'll notice here that the time code is still going up, but the action is completely frozen. And then it just kind of comes back on once it hits that certain point where it was fine. It just went back right into recording. And yeah, and it does it twice there. You'll see when we scrub along on the back of the BlackMagic camera there. So something weird is happening. Something weird is happening with, I don't know if it's my particular BlackMagic camera. I don't know if it's, doing long recordings using an SSD with, the kind of SSDs that I have. I don't know what it is. But regardless, I've never been a big fan with the SSD kind of hanging out on top. It's been cumbersome balancing it with the gimbal, and it is what it is. It was a great poor man's option, but I definitely have already been looking at CFast cards. I mean, I've been looking at CFast cards for like the past month now, just looking around for the ones that I want to get. But yeah. In the meantime, I'll have to shoot in Q5 and 12 to 1 with those Freetail Evoke Pros because I do want RAW. I do want to shoot in BlackMagic RAW. So yeah, there's that, guys. Best of luck to you in your SSD endeavors. As always, thank you for watching. I want to send out a huge love and thank you to my subscribers. And for now, that's a wrap.